inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like, with little babies, I believe that it's all hands-on. Whatever you do is hands-on. And the best way to approach babies is in a positive way. The word "no" doesn't exist for them. So you
The
have
word
to,
"no" doesn't exist for babies.
so you have to elaborate that it is better if it is done this way. We don't use "be" or do it this way, because if it is done that way, then these are the pros and the cons. Their mind is very rational, thinking mind. So their reasoning is fantastic, even though they are so small. Because the very fact that they can identify, their parents when they are born, you can just imagine what sort of instincts they are born with. And it's up to us to tap that mind. And like all of you, I've also been through education, and all of us know that, almost 70% of the brain development is done before the age of 8. So what you feed that brain is most important. So if you bear those few things in mind and you lead your staff that way, it will be very nice. And always, even though you may be a leader, never lead from the front. Always keep your team by the side of you so you can look to right and to left to see how they are progressing. If you go in front, you're always insecure looking at the back to see, is somebody left behind? Is everyone walking together? But when you lead, if you lead alongside with each other, makes a lot of difference. They feel good. You may be authority, but they will have that amount of respect as well for you, and they will love you more because you are taking them along with you. You're willing to walk that extra mile with them. So do that and everything will be fine.
Thank you so
Could you
much,
share with
ma'am.
them, if you have a little time, some experiences you had at the school, man?
Oh.
Like positive, negative, happy, maybe something sad too. If you, whatever comes
I
to your
have
mind.
lost 2 children in the nursery. One is Palash. He was one of the students from the earlier batches. And there was a little boy, Ankit. Very sad incidences. Palash died. His father took him on the main road of Tukum to pay a grocery vendor money, and he left the child seated on a two-wheeler, and they went in to pay the money, and the child was seated, the motorbike was not stable, it was on an incline. The bike turned, the child fell, and the loader, the tipper and loader trucks, they used to cross and go that side, went over his head. So that was the first. And the second was the mother went to the site where they were building a new house, constructing a new house, and let the child play alone. The child fell into the septic tank. It was under construction, so the septic tank was being used for water purposes, storing water for.
What was there?
So the child fell in, and they only realized it the next day when they went and reported it in the police station that we are missing our child. The police went around and then they found the body was floating.
Where was that exactly?
Yeah, in Tukum.
In Tukum.
Yes, father.
That was your student.
Yes,
He was
both
your
of them
student.
in the nursery.
In the nursery.
So always remember, teach your teachers one thing. You don't know when you're going to say a final goodbye to your
So
little children.
no student should go home unhappy, sad.
And I believe in one thing, you must stand at the door to wish them.
Please make it sure, man. We do that. Okay.
You can ask Father. I always stood at the gate. I was always a bogeyman with all the auto people. And the reason I was a bogeyman was because they used to literally throw the children in like goats, cattle, from the autos. They bring them all filled like that. So it would be very difficult to get them out of the auto and they're all running late. So many times I would, use the iron hand and say I was very strict as well, but not with my little babies. I was strict with the auto men and everybody, parents too. Like, what is there if you get your kids ready 10 minutes earlier? It's the best time to de-stress the child. When you say a good morning and you see a child crying, that's the time you go and you give them that assurance that, I'm here for you. Nothing's going to go wrong. You may have had a bad morning. Your mommy may have pushed you to have your milk, or, all the toilet procedures, protocol that you follow in the morning, bathing and everything. But the day will go well for you, don't worry. If you give that sort of a reassurance with just a good morning and a loving touch, that is more than enough. You cannot do more than that individually for each child. I used to see to it that I would touch 300 to 400 children in the morning, almost every morning, standing at the gate.
See, 300 to 400 loving touch.
And it was not only my nursery children, it would be even children from the side. Many times parents would come and tell me to counsel their little ones, even though they were in the higher classes. Why? Because they have gone through me, from the nursery, they have gone through me. And one very funny incident I must tell you. I used to cry when my little ones I used to say bye-bye to them for the last time. And then I used to tell them, all of you passed and only I failed.
Why don't you just take those chairs?
So they used to go and tell at home, well, auntie fail ho gaye. I never allowed them to call me teacher or ma'am. Never. I wanted to be close to them. And only an aunt, like you say kaku or maushi, only they are close. So I would always ask them to address me as auntie. I was known as Bella auntie until today. Many of my students who are now daddies of their own kids, yes, they know me as Bella auntie. Never as madam or teacher. Because I never wanted that bond to break, with them. So these are small things that I tried to imbibe as a teacher and as a founder member with the little ones. And of course with parents you have to give that reassurance all the time that we are there for your little ones, but you trust us. So how do you gain that trust? You gain that trust only when you can comfort that little crying child in front of the parent. That's what they want. They want to see the little ones say bye-bye to them happily before they leave. So if you can do that, I think half your battle is won.
What tips do you have for them for their good dealing with the parents, ma'am? Just as you said the last one. Yeah.
You be firm, but be firm to that extent that you can give them that reassurance at all times that your child is in very safe and secure hands. He's here with a purpose, and the purpose is not only education, it is to learn education with love. It's very important. And while you're doing that, you must make sure that you yourself show that love towards the children. If you show that love, only love begets love. It's very important.
Love begets love.
Three words, but with a lot of depth. A lot of depth. And the second thing is another 3 words that I used as my mantra. Haste makes waste. If you have to elaborate those 3 words, you will take probably 5 sentences to give the meaning of that word. Haste makes waste. The sentence. So you can just imagine what depth there is in that. So first is love, the second is avoid haste, and the third is patience. We are all coming with stress from our homes. You know what was my stress buster? I used to walk every morning from my home to school. Every single morning. My daughter would come with my husband and he would give me that space. And while I would come, I would try to unburden all my stress. I had my mother-in-law living with me, elderly mother-in-law. I had lots of responsibilities. And many times I would face hardships even with the management because the biggest thing is it was a no-no for me, a sari. I would always like to wear salwar kameez because it's difficult to talk to men and explain to them that, you know, I don't like exposing any part of my body. Today you are dressed with a coat, so you're covered from head to toe. But those days...
This is our everyday code.
Yes, no, it is. Yes. But I'm saying...
It's very nice.
Yes, the thing is, you don't show any part of your body.
Yes.
With little babies, they come touching you here and there. There are men walking in. It's difficult to explain that. Those days, I'm saying, it was difficult to explain to priests or to anybody that I'm doing it for my safety's sake. You know? So, it was a hard thing, and many of the new priests who came, they thought like, you know,
this being arrogant or something. Maybe that was a bit of a ego from the part of the management.
It was not that.
It was not that, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And I never counted a single salary. Never. Never. My first salaries were all given to Carmel Academy. I never accepted. And I in fact used to suggest, you know, many ways to bring up the school. Many ways. You know, where we would get, ask parents to help us, you know, the running conditions, cleanliness and whatever else. And like what you see the ground, I can see the ground here on this photo. That was also part of my job. I never went home a single day after 2 in the afternoon. I would be out sometimes till 6 in the evening, going mobilizing funds and getting mud for this leveling that you see today. This ground leveling, this is all thanks to Mr. 𝐵𝐾𝐍𝐆. I don't know where he is today. I don't know where he is today, but God bless him.
GM, WCL.
The GM of WCL. We got a lot of support from him.
His granddaughter was
Sakshi Ghai. And after that, there was another gentleman, Mr. PM Prasad from WCL. He gave us a lot of dignity in the sense when we needed vehicles to go for our affiliation to NACPO and everything. Those days, it was not possible. Gave us the best vehicles to bring our inspection team and everything. And the inspection team were so good. I don't know if files are maintained or no, but they have even acknowledged my services during those days, and they have thanked the management for having people like me over there. I do have those letters with me, but I don't know if it's maintained here. I have no idea. But these are the things. Dedication. To your institution. Everything is not money. There'll come one time in your life.
That's the greatest thing. You know, those days she lived for Carmel Academy. When I look back on because I had my bit of time with her working in Carmel Academy. So when I look back on those days, now I feel she lived for Carmel Academy.
So nice of you, ma'am, really.
What do you have some tips for their little class management or something? I mean, whatever goes in that direction.
The best thing is, you know, instead of making children sit all the time, sit quietly. We keep saying that. If you want to draw their attention, sometimes draw their attention by singing a song. Suddenly you start off a song.
This one sings very well. I do not know much about Bindu ma'am, but this one multi-talented person. She dances too and she sings.
So you make sounds of animals. Yes. They love, children respond to all these things more than, you know, your commands. You can't be assertive with little babies. You have to be very loving. You have to be very endearing. Words like darling. People used to call me darling auntie because you'll remember that. वो darling auntie आज नहीं आए school में. It became such that some parents would come and tell me, ma'am, our children don't want to come to school because you're home. I had brain malaria also and was at death's door because there was cattle at the side of my nursery and I was bitten by a mosquito and I was heavily pregnant. I lost a child also during that time, but I'm just saying that I couldn't come to school and the parents were so upset about it. That where's that madam, she hasn't come. And then Father Joy was there and he told me, he said, madam, you don't do anything, you just come and sit. We just need your presence over here. Nothing else. Because I became so weak, I couldn't even stand properly. Going through two things together. But, you know, even if I was like, how to tell you, like a fish without water. I never liked to sit in the house. Like today, Supriya is like that. I see that. You can't sit, you know you have so much you can give and it is needed, you can't sit down. So children are hungry for love, for attention, which is a must, but attention in a right way, in a positive way. And sometimes when you need to discipline them also, the best way to discipline them is to play the silent game with them. You just tell them that, you know, I'm a little upset with you for what you've done, so we'll just not be friends for a little while. You see how fast they'll come back to you. They'll come back very quickly to you because they know that you are giving them love and attention all the time, and suddenly to keep that, that's called time out. I call that time out. With my little daughter, I used to say time out. If I said time out, she knew that's the end of it. And never raise your hand on children. Never do that. Never. As angry as you may be, you count up to 10 in your mind. Or better still, go to your cupboard and start sorting your notebooks. Do it. And you see, it will de-stress that mind of yours. Sometimes you get parents also who are very, you know, all the time coming and bugging you and telling you, you know, this is this, this is this, this is this. Try to think why they are telling you this. There is some way they are using some kind of a defense mechanism. Maybe you have told them off 4 or 5 times that your child is too talkative or he's not concentrating. But then that's your job. You're not going to allow the parent to come sit in the class. Why is the child having that problem? Try to think. Maybe he is not sleeping well at home. Maybe he is empty stomach. Or maybe he is getting no attention from his parents. And to get your attention, he is bugging you. And then you punish him in some form or the other. When he goes back home, he says he doesn't want to go home. But the parents have to bring him to school, otherwise attendance is a problem. So when the parent comes, the child is late for school, he's cried. And so in defense, before the parent can ask for an excuse also for the child, he starts immediately on the defense. Sometimes he may even complain to the principal.
Set of ladies there, our aunties, we call them aunties,
Yes.
helping the teachers. How should the teachers' way of dealing with the aunties?
Please be very positive with them. Some of them have more experience than you may be having. Your teachers may be having. So do give them a little bit of liberty, but not too much. Because they won't understand how to deal with the little ones. But what you can do is, if you are busy with 3, give them 1. And ask them to do something which is within their capacity. Like maybe, you know, just tuck in their clothes properly. Physical touch. But physical touch to some extent. Today's parent does not like the child to be physically touched. but not to that extent. Maybe for just a minute or so, or ask the, just to break that whatever is going on in the child's mind, tell that lady who gave the child a drink of water. Teach your aunties to identify colors. Some of them may know colors, or maybe they can talk to the child. Oh, your bottle is beautiful. Your tiffin is so lovely. What did you bring in your tiffin today, while they are giving the child water? So the child's, whatever is going on in the child's mind at that time, automatically deviates from what is going on. Little things, I used to do those things for, or maybe just ask them to tie the ribbons properly for little girls, or buckle the shoe properly. Nothing more than that. And even if they are taking them to the toilet and everything, sometimes they want to take them all in a line. The best way to do that is, come on, we'll play rail gadi. Teach the auntie. Let her take them rail gadi and go. Someday she may just take a piece of chalk and trace out a line on the ground and ask them walk on that. So the children are following her like Pied Piper. Very important. Even when you take them to the playground to play in the park and everything, the maids are with you. Get small sticks, not big ones that will go, they can poke or hit each other. Little sticks which they can trace out something on the ground. Sometimes you can see their creativity that way. On earth, when they move their sticks around and make some designs and whatever, you can see their creativity in that. Also, you can give them attention at that time, especially those are a little bit they need attention. Today, the biggest thing is ADHD. I don't need to tell you about that. That's the attention disorder syndrome that they are going through. Many parents don't know about it. We as teachers, we have to see. I had many children who were dyslexic. Many children. And those days dyslexia was like not known to people. It only came out during the Tare Zami Par. But before that nobody knew, and they used to wonder what are you doing with the little children? I had only two things that I taught in my nursery: numbers and alphabets. That was my target. But other than numbers and alphabets, I taught them art and craft through that. And many other things I taught through that. Through the numbers and alphabets, I taught them drawing, how you can make with alphabet C, how you can use alphabet O, how can you use numbers for drawing. Today YouTube has dozens and thousands of things. Those days you need to we had to use our creativity. But children loved it. They loved playway techniques those days. And there were many of my counterparts used to wonder they were just doing so much. But then as they started progressing and going to higher classes, the basic fundas are taught to them. Table manners, proper food, eating food habits, everything. Those were the things that were more important for me. Until I think 4 years ago, I met a parent in NACO, and they told me, they said, we still remember how you used to sit with the children on the ground, make them open their tiffins, and every child had chapati and sabji. There was no pickle, no Maggi, nothing. So these are little things that are very important. And the maids at that time have to help the children lovingly and without reprimanding them. Very important. So all in all, it's don't be negative with little children. They have left everything and come to you for 2-3 hours. What is there if you spend 2-3 hours lovingly with them? Let them go back with happy memories. And before they leave, one very important thing, I used to give them as incentives in their notebooks. I'll draw a cone or an apple or something with little funny faces. Sometimes I would make it on their thumbs.
Thumb impression.
And when they go home, they'll see the star, like tattoos.
Smileys, these are things we are doing.
So yes, so those days I'd say we have to actually do it. They'll come to me. They won't go to the auto wala uncle. Make it and give me. It was like that. So that's all. Basic phonetics, sounds of the vowels. When I used to give them the nursery children, if I drew an apple, they would know that an apple is with an A. So what comes before apple? A will not come, and apple. So these are just 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. Don't talk to them and tell them that a nursery child won't know vowels and consonants, but we do. So you just tell them any words with A, any words with E, like E for elephant. If you see one, what will you say? An. The children knew it. Nursery children. They didn't know how to spell A-N, but they would. For their tests, they had phonetics, their own. So I would keep like 10 photos and I would ask them to pick up the photo themselves of their choice, and they would say this is an apple, this is an orange, this is an elephant, and with that I would keep bat, I would keep ball, and mostly I would try to keep articles that were available, easily available. Toys, I think you'll have in your kindergarten section, little tricycles and all. So you ask them, what is this? They should know that this is not an A, the sound, phonetics, sound is important. So they were...
Whatever study materials you need there, just let me know and I immediately get those
And
things.
highlight that A and an when you're speaking to them, make sure the teachers highlight that. And repetitive learning is so important. Repetitive. Like I'm saying it twice to you now. If you want them to learn it, at least minimum thrice. The first time they hear it, the next time they are literally assimilating it, and the third time it's almost on their tongue to say it with you. That should be the way you are attending to them. And don't take a lot of things in one day. Take the minimum. So when you take the minimum, you know 100% that tomorrow when they come, they've come prepared. Very important.